stressed out PZ. We have one stressed out Eagle, and we have a relaxed GM who's going for a soon-to-be stressed out Terry Tam.
Freshly engaged.
That's why he'll be stressed out. Because Terry Tam. For those who don't know, welcome to the You'll Never Walk Alone podcast. Terry Tam is actually away, but the best news of the day is that Terry Tam got engaged to his roommate, who will now have to endure Terry Tam for the rest of her life.
Can we clarify who his roommate actually is?
We can't do that.
GM Caletheris.
You know why we can't do that? Because the millions of viewers that we have are going to try to add her on Facebook. And
so it is a her. That's what I was getting at.
You're saying, Mo, that
we're going to create a cult of personality for Terry's fiance?
I am Terry's roommate. Knowing that he is overseas, I still left him a voicemail yesterday. That's sweet. But God, left me a voicemail.
He will never check that. Nobody checks voicemail.
I think he wants you to know Vanessa. Maybe not.
Weren't we saying we're not going to mention who she was?
Well, I didn't mention the last name. We're good.
So she's going to be what? Mrs. Terry Tam?
Yes. Anyway, congratulations, Terry and Vanessa, on the engagement. Very happy for you. All of us here at FPF are happy for you, and can't wait to see you say I do. More likely to happen, Terry getting married or the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl. We'll talk about that in January. All right, it is now time to talk about the big game of the week. GNR against STL. GNR outclassing STL in this matchup here, covering the point spread, you guys say. Vinny Galano, 5 TDs. Dylan Taylor, 3 TDs, 2 INTs. Before the game, I saw Dylan Taylor and Jimmy Ojea, GM. I said, guys, who have you beaten? Don't blame us. It's the schedule. I go, you're right. It is the schedule. Are they still overrated?
I don't think they're overrated. I think they're exactly where they should be, if not just a tad weaker. They're a very, very well put together team. They have stars all across the board. They just sort of lack those key execution plays, those 3rd down and 4th down plays that turn you from a good team to a great team.
I think for STL, you're right. I think they lack that killer instinct or the killer finish to finish off a drive or two here. But I just think they keep teams, minus GNR, that game was a complete wash. But prior to that, though, I just think that teams are always within striking distance of them, and they go away with the victory because they have that going by their way. But I just think that right now, STL has not impressed me enough to say, yeah, I'm going to put them up there in the same bracket with GNR, that they are going to be the 2 reps, or one of the 2 will move on to the Div C final in 3 weeks' time.
I wouldn't either. I agree with you on that. However, I wouldn't say that they don't lack that potential. They're a team who are definitely capable of doing it. And if you see a couple of minute changes on offense and a little bit on defense as well, they're definitely a contender and can be that team. You saw glimpses of it in the GNR game as well.
Speaking of GNR, can anyone stop this team?
It doesn't really look like it right now. They've been very, very much on their game. We've talked about it before, how this ensemble, this collective of players, they're good, but put into the system, led by Vinny Galano, they become great. They're all solid players that work well within this. Anthony De Silva, he and Vinny seem to share a sort of telepathic connection.
Right.
When he'll know when to deviate from his routes to create open as Vinny's scrambling. It's just a well put together team. Okay, so the question is for Vinny Galano is he now in the driver's position to win quarterback of the year?
Well, just to look at it right now, Joey Taylor's got 47 touchdowns, 6 interceptions.
And
Vinny
a broken
Galano's
wrist, I think, or a mashed up wrist.
Yeah, which he won a game with.
Surprise. But he gave up like 8 sacks, though.
That's true. Although Joey Taylor does take sacks. Vinny Galano got 46, he's thrown 46 touchdowns and thrown 6 interceptions as well. Vinny Galano also has 3 more rushing touchdowns than Joey Taylor. Joey Taylor's 2.5 downs face off against Laval's finest, while Vinny Galano's grip and rip face off against Hitman Retro.
The one thing that we can deviate into this a little bit more as we discuss it later on in the podcast, but the one thing that really impresses me more about Joey Taylor for candidate for quarterback of the year, as much as people are going to complain about his style or what have you, Joey Taylor completes 4 out of 5 of every attempts he makes. He's an 80% completion ratio, and right now, considering his other competition in Division C, it's phenomenal.
And 120.7 quarterback rating.
I think it's going to come down to the voters in this scenario of quarterback of the year. Or voter or power.
Emperor Campana?
Our Campana. Sorry, Robert C.
Dark Lord Campana.
Yes.
Let's call her Lisa S.
No, it's too obvious.
L. Simpson.
Al Simpson. I think what we like, the numbers are great from both of them, right? But I think what it'll come down to, if I had my vote, is quality of wins. Who have they beaten in terms of the top tier of Div C? Because at the end of the day, if Joey Gallo or Vinny Galano, pardon me, are playing.
Mitch Gallo and Vinny Galano. I don't know too many people who know those two, but they look nothing alike. For those of you who know who Mitch Gallo is.
No, it doesn't have the same ring to it.
But if it came down to quality of wins and who they beat, I think that should be the determining factor of them winning quarterback of the year.
I see Eagle looking a little bit more like Mitch Gallo than Vinny Galano.
Yeah, maybe. Unathletically speaking. Preds Light, Cream Team. Light win 38-32 in a thriller. Simon Bosquet Baudin, 4 TDs, 1 INT. Jared Humphrey, 5 TDs, 2 INTs. Winner of the 3 of the last 4 games. If Preds get in, are they the team that no one wants to face at this point in the season?
I don't know how to feel about this because early on they seem to lack an identity, they seem to lack a defense, and they've, just like Simon Bosquet Baudouin's quarterback style, they've hit the ground running. In the last few weeks, they've looked stronger and stronger. They're adapting on defense, they're causing turnovers, as well as still keeping up that high-scoring offense. This would be a dark horse team that can surprise and upset a lot of teams in the playoffs.
Puzzles? Any quick thoughts on this?
Keep us puzzled.
Yes and no. I kind of worry. I kind of worry about Basketball Day in the playoffs, having to face off against sort of top tier defenses. I do think that they can pose a particularly difficult matchup for certain teams, sort of teams that maybe lack a little bit of speed and won't be able to keep up with them. That being said, honestly, SPB is going to have to win games with his arm, and he hasn't always been able to do that throughout the season.
Look, I'm disappointed by this team, Cream Team that is. Look, they had a phenomenal winter season. They've been very competitive the last couple of years in FPF. I just think kind of unravel for them this year. Even though they're missing guys, Alex Grace not as consistent on the lineup. Missing this guy, Rusher here, Joy Blue not being there, Monat not being there sometimes. How disappointed are you by Cream Team's finish this season?
Honestly, not very at all. They were a very solid Div E team. You saw them in the winter as well, evolve throughout the winter season. However, as they face steeper and steeper competition, man defense 90% of the time will not work as easily. It works well when they're up against players who are less athletic than them that they can shut down. But when they're up against more experienced teams who know how to exploit that, that's when you see the wheels fall off.
Right. Other Div C observation from this week, GM, that caught your attention from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday?
It's not often that I get to toot my own team, but since this is my division, division I play in, but I don't cover.
Yes.
Top Sauce going from almost out of the playoffs to an eligible 4 seed blows my mind, considering how terrible that team is.
Top Sauce!
By the way,
2 straight wins.
Yeah.
I just want to make a point. I think the season turned for them, or starting for you and GM, or for Eagle over here, is when we had the sideline bet of
the over-under.
22 and a half incompletions. That chocolate milk was delicious.
And I had
Thank you,
22.
Jim.
And who saved it?
Ella.
You saved it for Bertolli to get that touchdown.
Yep.
Look, I think Top Sauce, even Keyshawn Thompson, who was with Garrett Taylor and myself watching the game on the sidelines after his game, he was quite impressed by Vince Nardone in terms of the fact that he was able to read the field, make his throws, run when he had to run, and the confidence that he had in his deep ball, whereas in weeks 1 through 4, it wasn't there. He just threw it up there, hopefully someone came down with it. And in this case, though, he looks a lot better now as a quarterback. I don't know if PZ would agree with that or not, but
I've ragged on him a lot, but at the same time, Vince Nardone is also the only quarterback in Division C presently who's playing quarterback for the first time this season.
He got a little pep talk from Kevin Y after one of our first wins of the season. So
was it more like a recruiting talk? Hey, any plans in winter? Do anything in particular in winter season, maybe?
Nardone has thrown 15 touchdowns and only 2 interceptions in the past 3 weeks. It's absolutely commendable. It's tough for a first time quarterback to
especially
throw
in Div C
to throw 5 touchdowns in a game, let alone 3 back-to-back. Vince, honestly, great work. You've improved a great deal in just 1 season alone.
My observation: Brotherhood. They are rolling and going here. I mean, Jamie Harry looks phenomenal right now in terms of how he's played as a quarterback. He's same thing with Vince Nardone. had a rough first few weeks at the quarterback position. Now he's playing awesome football. And you wonder, maybe Top Sauce gets in. Maybe Brotherhood does clinch a playoff spot officially this weekend.
And Brotherhood have won 4 of the last 5 games.
Absolutely. You wonder if maybe, we'll talk more about that in our playoff pictures. If maybe, just maybe, dark horse teams indeed. Coming up next, we'll talk about the Div C playoff picture and the one division that could have maybe 4 teams, no teams. Who knows what the hell's going on in that division? Find out next year on You'll Never Walk Alone with who looks like Mesut Ozil today.
I'm not clear on who that is.
Google him.
Who?
Mesut, M-E...
Oh, it's spelled just like it sounds.
M-E-S-U-T-O-Z-I-L. Mesut Ozil. Coming up next here on You'll Never Walk Alone.
Great radio.
Calling the Audible has been brought to you by the English Montreal School Board's DEAL program. Distance education for all learners will allow you to obtain your high school diploma or prerequisites for SAGEP or vocational studies from the comfort of your own home. It's never too late to go back to school. Learn anywhere at your own pace and get your diploma. Call 514-788-5937 for information or visit www.distanted.ca for more details.
I don't care. That's not a compliment at all.
Okay.
No.
Okay. In lieu of this being the You'll Never Walk Alone Liverpool theme, Google pick Emery, E-M-R-E, space,
Can you at least put it on the screen?
Chan, C-A-N.
So people know what he's talking about.
Emery
C-A-N?
Yeah, C-A-N.
I don't want him to respell it. I didn't hear it.
Emery Chan, E-M-R-E.
Okay, that's closer at
That's
least.
a little bit closer.
Welcome back to You Never Walk Alone. This is Mo Conway's GM.
Hey, it's our host, Legal and Master Control.
All right, talk about the playoff scenarios here. We'll go through Conference A. And, of course, well, as we look at it right now, 3 playoff spots. 6 teams are vying for it as we speak. 3 are in, 3 are out. Currently, PZ, if you want to elaborate on that as you wipe your glasses, who is on the outside looking in, and who are the 3 teams occupying the spots that have not clinched officially?
Well, what we'll do is we'll look at the teams you've highlighted, Mo. As I get the spreadsheet in front of me, the teams that you've highlighted are in
2.5 Dans?
No, Laval's Finest, Serve with Heat, Hitman, West Park Boys, West Park Boys, Longhorns, and Cream Team. Which of these do you feel have what it takes to make the playoffs?
Well, let's go quickly team by team here, GM. On the outside looking in, Cream Team, Longhorns, West Park Boys, right? So let's see it from this perspective here. West Park Boys, I think it's a one-man show with Meet Paul. Raymond Tonier has done okay as a quarterback. I think their defense is very tenacious at times. They can make a play here and there. But I'm just not buying...
Patrick Shadov, that physicality as well.
Mr. Statsman himself. I'm not buying them as a true, legit playoff team because they're going to have problems in the playoffs playing better offensive...
I agree. However, they do have... these games right now, with all these teams at 8 wins, the 3-way tie for 8 wins, it's going to come down to matchups. On paper, West Park Boys... not a very strong team, but they stay resilient in games. They have pure raw athleticism, and they just make plays, and you can never count that out. It will not last. The wheels will eventually fall off in the playoffs, but it may be enough to sneak in.
Longhorns, I think it's done for them. Unfortunately, it came to
I think
crashing.
that's one of my biggest disappointments of the.
We saw the game last week, which we watched together.
Against West Park Boys.
Yeah, it was done at half.
That was the game that Longhorns also had no business losing.
None. Cream Team, again, we spoke about it before. I just don't know about them this year. I think this is a team that needs to retool and get more consistent with their lineup. Otherwise, maybe winter could be a bigger year for them in 2016, and then maybe having a deeper run with Alex Grace being there as opposed to him being there 4 or 5 times during the season. Teams holding playoff spots, LV's Finest. Look, I felt bad for them early on because they lost a lot of games within 5 plays. They lost a Punisher on the last play, a few others within 3 plays.
But also losing to higher seeded teams, top tier teams, they're not throwaway games. These are games where they manage to stay competitive.
They do. But Serve with Heat, I think, is a team, and Pease might want to chime in as well. I think Serve with Heat is a team that could be on the outside looking in. They have stumbled of late. They have not been impressive in my books. They came late to one game, which they won against the Patriots. But otherwise, the Pats. Otherwise, they have not impressed me as a whole, and I think they can be on the outside looking in by the time we talk about this next Thursday.
So given the matchups, we have no fly zone taking on Serve with Heat. But we have Laval's Finest facing off against 2.5 Dans. How do you think those matchups will play out? It will help the playoff picture clarify.
Let's not forget, No Fly Zone has a chance to win second place for their division. So they have a lot to play for, and this isn't like a throwaway game for them. So I think, GM, if you want to expand on this, I think Laval's Finest...
Laval's Finest, could be on the outside looking in. It's kind of sad right now because they're the highest of these on-the-bubble teams in the 6th seed, but they have arguably the worst matchup going into the playoffs, and it's not likely.
Keep in mind that Laval's Finest is currently sitting with 9 points above the next 3 teams at 8 points, so they can squeeze their way in if the math works out.
And in some of the games that you pointed out, some of the teams you pointed out also have some interesting matchups. Longhorns face Killer Instinct, West Park Boys face Top Citizen, and Cream Team face Patriot. So I mean, we see Cream Team facing a team that's struggled, West Park Boys facing a team that's struggled, and Longhorns facing a team in Killer Instinct that has had its up and down moments as well.
They seem, as much to my dismay, I noticed with Simon's articles that I've consistently been picking against Killer Instinct, purely based, I think, on their early season woes. I think I didn't have faith, like knowing him from other leagues as well. I didn't have faith in Jeff Mather as a quarterback, so I immediately wrote this team off. And then later on in the season, seeing these teams play, seeing Killer Instinct play, I'm becoming more of a fan, and I don't think the Longhorns are going to stand a chance in this one.
So really, it would come down to Cream Team, Patriot, and West Park Boys Top Citizen. Do you think that either Top Citizen or Patriot will have the chance to play spoiler?
No, because Top Citizen doesn't have a quarterback. Gianfranco Ronaldo's playing quarterback. You might as well have Simon Dasher play quarterback for your team.
Well, let's not think of that far.
Simon Dasher made playoffs.
I think Top Citizens, unfortunately, and look, their season came to an end, and they've been unraveling week by week. I mean, guys pointing fingers at each other, not happy with the formation on offense or defense. I'm not saying they're going to roll over, but it wouldn't surprise me to see them get rolled over.
I sympathize because what a lot of players, especially when you see bickering within teams, a lot of players don't know how difficult it is to branch off and make a team yourself.
Right.
And having to cater to all these egos and keep everyone happy. I mean, having teams successfully show up week in, week out, having pants, shorts, flags, money. It's hard work, and when they start to bicker, you see teams and players start to branch off that way. So I think that does have a lot to do with it as well.
By the time we discuss next week the playoff previews and No Fly Zone, Killer Instinct, who will be the division champion? And remember, they both have 13 points here, so someone's going to get the division one way or another. As we speak, Killer Instinct holds that edge.
I think it'll still be Killer Instinct in their matchup against the Longhorns. I definitely think that they're going to allow fewer points than No Fly Zone do in their matchup.
Does anyone want to play the Zoo? Zoo will be locked in as a 5 seed, if not maybe as a 4 seed. But does anyone want to play them in a 4-5 versus matchup?
There's a lot of times where the 4 seed plays spoiler, especially in lower divisions. So oftentimes it's the second place team in their respective conference or subdivision. Right. And that's not a team that's to be taken lightly or written off. And especially Zoo, who have this experience, who know how to adapt to games.
And with the way they've been playing, especially in the past couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
They're a team on fire.
They had a big win over the weekend as well, and so they are definitely putting themselves in position to potentially make a run in the playoffs here.
So basically, whoever doesn't win that second seed is going to be playing Zoo, right?
That's right. That's pretty much a lock guarantee for that matter. Conference B, more muddled than Conference A in terms of playoff availability. Only 3 teams PG has clinched so far.
Well, we have Grip and Rip leading the way at the first spot. They've clinched the first seed as well. Followed by Prime Time with 10 points. STL has 14 points, and they are in the third spot. Then those are the only teams that have clinched. Following them are Brotherhood, Dams 25-8, Team Ethnic at 6, Snatchers at 7 with 9 points, Game Changers with 8. And on the outside looking in is Top Sauce with 8, Predators Light with 8, and then eliminated from the playoff we have Les Bleus Branlard, Keyport Lock, and KGP Champs.
And unfortunately for LBB, they no-showed their game with Snatchers and gave them.
Apparently, they couldn't field more than 2 people for this game.
That's the unfortunate part.
It is really weak. I'm going to come in and say I'm going to play devil's advocate on both sides of the fence here. Yes, it's really shitty. It's a big inconvenience to everyone, including me. I showed up to scorekeep that game, and I wasn't notified.
Oh, yeah, you weren't
I
happy.
knew.
It sucks for the Snatchers to not have a team to play against and to keep that rhythm. And it sucks for teams vying for that playoff spot. Granted, playing devil's advocate, I don't think that LBB would have beaten Snatchers anyways.
Fair.
But
Great for their points against.
it's great for their points against, and it's a big help in the Snatchers
Absolutely.
category.
And how do you think the devil's avocado would taste like?
sorry?
Awful.
The devil's avocado. How do you think that would taste like?
It tastes awful. It tastes great initially, but
Bitter.
you realize...
Very, very bitter.
One thing to add in here, Primetime, as much as they're in the second seed, they haven't
No, they've not clinched
it yet, but they
'cause
have clinched the playoff
playoff
spot
spot,
because
yes.
whether they win or lose this week, their divisional record will bump them above anyone in any particular tiebreak scenario.
Now, here's the fascination with this division. You can tweet at us, Jim Cole44, PZ FPF, Eagle FPF, Mocon here at the cage. If you're not in the cage, you're not here.
I think that this is one of the few seasons where we don't have a lot of tweet-ins.
No.
Brent Calendar is in class, so
Or maybe he's on a... I don't know where he is. It's fascinating to see that what we're looking at right now of the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 spots could all change within a snap of the finger here. Brotherhood, of course, in the 4 spot, Damps in the 5 spot. I look at this whole conference. Is it parity or the lack of great teams in this conference, guys?
I think there's a lot of really good teams in this conference.
Yeah, I think there are teams that are solid, but sometimes inconsistent or struggling. Like you see, they're very athletic, well laid out teams who just seem to be underperforming at times.
I think I watched my fair share of games in this conference. Look, we know who the cream of this division is. It's GNR and SCL, and Primetime has been floundering since the Chichire brothers made that tweet to me about, hey, clean your glasses, watch the receivers play on our team. They've not done well since then. But I just think...
Although I just cleaned my glasses, so perhaps they'll be better.
Maybe, just maybe. I just think right now, this division, and look, unfortunately, there are injuries. Game Changers does not have Terrence Dobson anymore for the year. Daps 25 missing Jay Grandison, who won't be there. Probably not. He's going back to New York for junior football or junior college football that he has. Every team has a question mark about them. Mm-hmm. But in reality, those teams that have not clinched yet, are they really legitimate contenders, though?
just to add to a point here, if you add up the divisional records of the top 8 in Conference A and top 8 in Conference B, they actually have 23 wins apiece for those top 8. So they're actually identical, quote unquote, when it comes to divisional records right now.
So parity reigns supreme in Div C, then. That's your point.
I have a question, Mo.
Yes, there you go. Oh, yes, puzzles.
Never say that. Snatchers hold the 7th spot with 9 points. They face STL this week. How likely do you think it is that they hold on to a playoff spot? Or do you think that 2 of the 3 teams with 8 points in Game Changers, Top Sauce, Players Light can move up and have the Snatchers on the outside looking in?
Here's my theory. If I'm scorekeeping that game with Simon Dagenet, they lose automatically. And how awesome would it be to see Simon Dagenet go from a playoff spot to the outside looking in?
It would be the greatest thing ever. I would actually hope in this scenario I wouldn't get my passport in time and not go to Hawaii so I can see that.
Oh, man.
So
At least have a backup plan.
he can go from being on the bubble to being out on the playoffs in both.
Can I ever show you? Do you guys ever see his look? When he's having like a great game, he gives you a look like this.
No, it's actually it's the same look the kid gives you in class when he doesn't know what you're talking about.
He gives me a look. Anyway. Puzzles, great question, though. Great question. Great question. Look,
And you almost answered it.
I'm saying...
That's a Mokan answer.
That's fair. That's fair.
Dams 25-8, though, they are in the 5 spot. Do you believe they have a chance to potentially win this division here? Do you like their chances, yes or no?
I don't think that they're going to win their division. They're very strong. They're going to be a good contender in the playoffs, but it's going to stay status quo here, I believe.
Looking at the East Division for Comms B here, as we talk more playoffs here, 5 teams, of course, have a chance at it. Right now, with the 5 teams that we've mentioned before in this division alone, for Comms B East, Damps, Primetime, Ethnic, Changers, and Prez Light, which team will be on the outside looking in when we talk about this next week?
Part of me wants to say Snatchers. Part of me wants to say Game Changers. I picked Game Changers to win, though. It's going to be an odd turn of events. I'm going to go with Snatchers on this one.
That'd be awesome, by the way. That would be really cool to see Simo Dagenet like cry in his Gatorade. He brings a lunchbox with him, by the way.
If we see him cry, we now know how every sexual partner he's ever had feels.
But I think the team to look at is game changers. Unfortunately, right now, with the injuries they've gone through and the team, it's literally a skeleton of what it once was. The Filtro was there, Dobson was there, now they're not there, both hurt. I think they can be the outside looking in when we talk about this. As good as they are as a group of players to talk to, I just think they don't have enough firepower to make that last surge into the playoffs and have an impact in the playoffs.
Agreed.
The finalists, do you think that it could come from this division, though? Given how many teams are in playoff spots right now, could they potentially make it to the finals?
Well, it's statistically a 1 in 2 chance that a finalist comes from this division.
You're right. But if it ends up being an all-divisional final, maybe GNR against STL, it's a 0% chance.
Yes. I like it. That's a chance.
Is this another add up to 100% segment?
Maybe. It is, maybe.
What did we learn?
But do you think
Did you say it's 100% and segment over?
Mic drop. But do you believe any of these teams can give GNR, hypothetically, a good run for their money?
Look, this is the playoffs. These teams are all experienced teams. It's not a question of there being a massive separation between the two. It's not like, say, winter 2011, where the Warriors and the Triple Sixers pounded everyone else in the division and no one stood a chance. There's a lot of competitive games here. We're not seeing blowouts by 30 or 40 points.
Right.
The playoffs are a whole new season, and teams are going to come in fiery. And whereas STL and GNR had all this praise, they now have something to prove throughout these playoffs that they're as good as everyone's said they are.
Little key stat here, GNR, STL are both combined 5-0 against that division alone. So they're undefeated so far. Who knows what will happen. You like that stat line or what, Puzzle?
That's pretty good. I like that one.
Solid. I'll ask you this question, you two gentlemen here. Is this the best division, A, B, C, D, and E? Is this the best division from start to finish? I think it is.
I absolutely think it is.
I think it is because of the uncertainty of playoff spots, the parity that has reigned supreme, and the fact that you still have some smash mouth teams like GNR still dominating, even though there's so many close teams within range of each other.
I think you tend to see this in larger divisions, but even at that, Div C just even has more character. I find in a lot of other divisions, and we're not seeing what we see in the small divisions, and that there really is sort of like a top tier and a lower tier that gets smashed. I would not be surprised by any of the top seeds falling out early in the playoffs, and I would not be surprised to see them make a run either.
I think what's really interesting here is if you look at the teams that are sitting currently in playoff spots, let's start with that. None of them are teams that you go, oh, these guys are really close to the the cap at the top end. You're looking at Grip and Rip, which is more of a system type of team. Same thing with 2.5 times on the other side. They're not hitting the cap ceiling, so it's interesting to see how that happens.
Fascinating times for FPF with Div C being
I think so. I think if we had to rate them on a 1 to 5 scale, like the top being the best, I would go C, D, A, B, E, in my opinion.
I go C, B, I go D, E, and then A.
A is last.
I'm
Interesting.
confused. I can't follow.
I know you can't. I'm sorry.
Good.
Puzzles.
I agree with Mo.
I think A's been terrible this year. It's been awful. There's no storylines. I can't think of storylines. I have Peasy thinking storylines for this script.
For
That's
division,
fair.
it's interesting.
Yeah. Quickly here, guys. Who wins quarterback of the year?
I had it written out. I think it's going to be Joey Taylor.
Joey Tate. I said Joey Tate wins his first quarterback of the year. He's been in contention a bunch of times. It's about time we realize how good a quarterback he is.
Yeah, Vinny Guilano and Matt Bourbonniere are close, but I would go with Joey Taylor in this.
Receiver of the year.
Okay, this is where I find it very interesting. Karim Police has games played in Division A. Do we count him in this race? Because if we do, it's Karim hands down.
How many? Okay, so there's
But if not,
He played 1 or 2, right? With the
yeah,
Legends,
I was going to
correct?
say there's kind of like not a rule, but sort of an understanding that if a player is not playoff eligible in another division, they are eligible for the award in a lower division. It's kind of what I've heard rumblings of in the past.
So I would say undoubtedly it would be Karim Police then. However, for fun's sake, if we exclude him from this race here, there's a ton of players all with 14 or 13 touchdowns that have the proper stats for it. It would come right down to the wire here. You've got Anthony De Silva, Amit Paul, Pat Saint-Amand, Sam Bourbonniere, Matt Monet, Steve Sander, Emilio Cecere, J-Flo, Jamie Ojea, and Rob Allen.
We could do like a 10-way.
It would be a 10-way receiver. It's going to come down to, it would be...
A lot of those guys would be nominated for 2-way too, potentially.
It is potentially, yeah. And it's very, very interesting to see that. I think this also proves the parity in this division, that it's not going to be a standout winner. It's really going to, everyone's going to have to sit down and examine this and figure it out.
Defensive player of the year is who in your mind?
Right now, my standout is James Donald. Very, very strong player. Not just, you watch him play, you see it. It's not even in the stats he puts up, but in the stats he doesn't put up, because quarterbacks simply turn away from where he is, and he still manages to make a play on there. Vince Nardone as well, top sauce, 8 interceptions, close to James Donald's 9. Has a ton more tackles, though, shows he's everywhere on the field, has 2 pick sixes, has been really, really solid, and a ton of passes defended as well.
And quickly, 2-way player of the year.
Vinny Golano.
Easily.
I think that's easy.
So, Galano, 2-way player of the year, Joy Taylor, quarterback of the year, correct?
Yeah. I would say that. Other runners-up, Matt Monet from Cream Team has great offensive and defensive numbers. Joseph Chetri as well, having those back and forth.
I was going to say Joseph Chetri, if Vinny Galano weren't to win it, like if you were to throw like 7 interceptions this week, then I'd probably say Joseph Chetri. But at the moment, I think Vinny's running away with it.
All right, picks of the week. It's time. Our last picks of the week for the regular season.
It is time for picks of the week. Once again, we went to our wise guys in Vegas. They returned with the following.
Before you do it, hey, STL, how about that point spread? Thanks for the chocolate milk, guys.
That being said, this week, No Fly Zone play a potentially tight game against Serve with Heat. No Fly Zone are 2.5-point favorites.
I don't know about this one. I feel like this is a trap game, considering how frustrated Serve with Wheat are going to be coming off that loss. I spoke to JD Chevalier, who was not happy at all. They have the athleticism. They have the players to really break down and break away from this game. So I'm not going to take that. I would actually take Served with Heat on this one.
All right. So you're taking the points. I have to teach you how to gamble like I had to teach Matt Kerouac in the Devane B show.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Team Ethnic will take on Preds Light and have the light point spread of 4.5 points, where Team Ethnic is actually the favorite.
I'm going to take the points on this one as well, having learned my lesson. I think Preds Light are going to surprise, especially the matchups they pose against Team Ethnic. So Preds Light from
Ethnic all the way.
In a game that some may say might be just an atrocious matchup or a surprising win, depending on which side of the fence you ally yourself with, Brotherhood are favored by 6.5 points over Top Sauce. Volkan.
Knowing the possibility of who Top Sauce have at rusher to combat Jamie Harry.
Top Sauce.
Yeah, I know. Give me Top Sauce with the points, but Brotherhood to win.
But not to win?
Not to win.
Interesting.
As we all know, I don't actually make up the spreads. I get them from my insiders in Vegas.
Yes.
I saw it, and I actually think Top Sauce is not a very good matchup for Brotherhood. I'm going to go ahead and take Brotherhood and give up the points. Game Changers take on Primetime. Primetime, of course, all in caps, but the point spread itself, less exciting at only 3.5 points. Gentlemen.
Primetime stinks right now, but give me Primetime.
I don't remember who I picked in my article.
Irrelevant.
Well, in Simone's article, because it was one of the only ones that we were differed on. And looking at it right now, I don't know what I said before, but I really hope I picked Primetime. I'm going to go with Primetime on that one.
All right. PC, what did you learn in today's episode?
Not much. It was a slow week. I was not even paying attention to you. I'm sorry about that.
Puzzles. Did not learn anything. What did you learn, Eagle?
I kind of got to concur. I mean, Terry's not here. He's solving the Greek debt crisis. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. GM?
I learned that we can go over the time limit because it's playoffs, and I'm really excited about that, and we can abuse this rule in the future.
I
feel like with less teams listening, we talk more.
Yes.
That's true. I learned we are now officially 24 days away from Chinois.
And the finals.
Yes. Good morning, London.